You clumsy fool! You're fired! Get out!
She poured wine on my face, in front of everyone, at the most glamorous wedding of the year. She laughed and fired me like I was nothing. What no one knew, I was watching her downfall silently, because I owned more than she ever imagined. And when it was my turn to speak, I didn't have to. My name is Alina. I was 26, working 2 jobs to keep up with rent. One of those jobs was waitressing at Valeria, a high-end event venue where every table was covered in silk and every guest walked in wearing designer brands. I didn't belong there, but I needed the money. That night, I was working a luxury wedding hosted by the venue owner herself, Vanessa Crane, a woman known for her ruthless attitude and signature red dress. She was powerful, glamorous, and cruel. To people like me, we were invisible unless we made a mistake. And I did. A small one. One of the champagne glasses on my tray slipped slightly and tipped, just a drop, onto the edge of Vanessa's imported heels. Before I could apologize, the room went silent. Vanessa turned around slowly, looking down at her heel, then up at me like I was a piece of trash stuck to her shoe. The music faded. The guests watched. And then, without warning, Vanessa grabbed a full glass of red wine from the nearest table and splashed it across my face. I gasped. It stung. Not just my skin, but everything inside me. The gasps in the room were louder than the music now. She smirked and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "That's what happens when rats sneak into palaces." The crowd laughed, not everyone, but enough. My apron was soaked, wine dripping down my face, mascara running. Vanessa waved me off like I was dirt. "You're fired. And don't even think about picking up your paycheck." I didn't speak. I couldn't. I just looked at her. And I smiled. A cold, quiet smile. That was the moment everything changed. Not for her. For me. I left without a word. But inside, something snapped and something else sparked. She poured wine on me to break me. But she didn't know what she ignited. I went home humiliated that night. But I came back months later, not with a tray, but with a title. Owner. After Vanessa fired me in front of 200 guests, I walked home with red wine still dripping down my shirt. I didn't cry, not yet. I just kept hearing her voice echoing in my head. That's what happens when rats sneak into palaces. The sting wasn't just the wine. It was the humiliation, the injustice, the laughter from strangers. But I didn't crawl into a corner. I opened my laptop. And I started digging. I'd overheard things while working those events, whispers about Vanessa's shady dealings, unpaid vendors, even a lawsuit or two. I remembered how she bragged that Valeria was her crown jewel, but she also hinted once about silent partners and a financial chokehold. So I searched. It wasn't hard to find. The venue was deep in debt. Multiple vendors had pulled out. And worse? Vanessa had leveraged ownership through a shady partnership that had recently collapsed. The venue was for sale. Quietly. The price? Still out of my range, but not unreachable. I had a little savings, and one other thing, my late father's life insurance policy, untouched, left in trust for something meaningful. This was meaningful. My best friend Mia thought I was crazy. "You're buying a venue out of revenge?" I looked her dead in the eye. "No. I'm building my future. The revenge is just a bonus." Within 3 months, I had it all set. The deal went through. And just like that, I owned Valeria. But I didn't change anything, not right away. I kept my name off the public paperwork. Kept Vanessa in the dark. And then, I waited. I waited for the moment she'd need me. It happened sooner than I expected. Valeria had always been the place for elite weddings. But under Vanessa's management, word spread, the place was falling apart. Vendors dropped out. Clients canceled. The floral designer refused to work another event after she wasn't paid on time. And the big blow? A bride's dress caught fire because of faulty lighting. The story went viral. Valeria's reputation tanked. And one afternoon, just 2 months after I became the silent owner, Vanessa waltzed back into the building, not to claim her throne, but to beg for a second chance. She didn't recognize the receptionist. Because I had replaced everyone. She walked in wearing those same red heels, the ones she wore when she humiliated me, holding a thick folder of brochures. "I'm looking to book a venue for a very important client," she said, her voice still sugary and smug. The receptionist smiled politely and said, "The new owner will meet you shortly." I stood in the back hallway, watching it all on the security monitor. My hands trembled, not with fear, but with power. This was the moment. But I didn't walk out there. Not yet. I let my general manager meet her, play along, act impressed. I wanted her to think she was winning. She was shown around like any regular client. Rooms she once ruled were now off limits to her. She looked slightly unsettled, like something was off, but her pride kept her going. And then, as she sat down to sign the preliminary papers, the GM said casually, "Before we finalize, the owner wants a quick word." I walked out slowly. In heels. Hair down. Wearing white, the color she said never suited me. Her face drained of color. She stammered, What are you doing here?" I smiled calmly and extended my hand. "Welcome to Valeria. I own it now." She laughed nervously. "You're joking." I said nothing. I slid the ownership documents across the table. Signed. Stamped. Filed. Her fingers trembled as she flipped through the pages. Then, silence. Complete silence. I leaned in and whispered, "Consider this booking declined." And I turned around and walked away. Vanessa didn't leave immediately. She sat frozen at the conference table, gripping the signed documents with both hands, like holding them tighter might undo what she just saw. Her lips moved, trying to form excuses, but no sound came out. Her pride was breaking. And for the first time since that night, the night she drenched me in wine and called me worthless. She looked small. Exactly the way she made me feel. She followed me into the hallway, now pleading. "Listen, I didn't know. I was just under pressure that night. I've changed." I stopped and turned slowly. "You poured wine on my face in front of 200 people. You laughed while you fired me. You humiliated me like I was nothing." Her eyes glossed over. "I wasn't thinking clearly." I said softly. "And I've thought every day since." She reached out, desperate. "I need this booking. My client will kill me. Please, I'll do anything." I stepped closer. "You taught me how powerful public shame can be," I whispered. "I learned from the best." Then I smiled, not out of cruelty, but closure. "I don't need to destroy you, Vanessa. You already did that yourself." And with that, I walked away. No screaming. No revenge post. No wine in her face. Just quiet power. She left Valeria that day empty-handed, and no one ever saw her book another event again. Weeks later, she deleted her business pages. Clients blacklisted her. Industry insiders refused to associate with her name. And me? I turned Valeria into something bigger, a brand that honored respect, second chances, and quiet strength. Every time I walked through its halls, I smiled. Not because I beat Vanessa, but because I didn't become her.